After an inferno engulfed the National Assembly, another historic building just literally meters away is now a crime scene. Western Cape police say they're investigating the circumstances surrounding a fire at St. George's Cathedral in Cape Town. The church's crypt was engulfed in smoke in the early hours of yesterday morning. Father Michael Wieder believes an arsonist deliberately targeted the cathedral. Well, for the latest on the story, we're joined now by Mr. Franklin James. He's the administrator for the St. George's Cathedral. Mr. James, thank you so much for joining us. I'm perplexed by this fire because the police are stationed right next to the cathedral, because that's where the National Assembly or the parliamentary fire started. So that's been cordoned off. Yet it took a homeless person to contact somebody in charge and alert them to the fact that there was a fire at the cathedral.
Good morning, Annika. Well, you know, we're looking at quite a large precinct. The cathedral itself is quite a sizable precinct, together with, obviously, our neighbour Parliament. So if you're perplexed, we do have a security guard overnight, even on site. And you know, he only became aware after he was alerted also by the CCID. So, yeah, look,
Mr. James,
it is what it is.
Sorry, I thought you'd finish your thought. Tell me what actually happened, if you could, in summary.
Yeah, very briefly, I was alerted at about just past 2, like you said. I got a call from our on-site security to say that there's a fire in the cathedral basement. Obviously shocking news. Soon after that, I got a call from a gentleman, PJ, from the CCID as well. I then obviously rushed over because, you know, the consequences of a fire at the cathedral is something too difficult to contemplate.
You know, there was a fire at the state security...
So arriving on site...
Sorry, Mr. James, there must be a delay. You know, there was a fire at the State Security Agency, a fire at Parliament, a fire at St. George's, which is one of the most iconic buildings in the country. What are your thoughts? Do you think there was an arsonist behind this, or just a very old electrical system that could have tripped?
Look, Annika, we went into the cathedral itself and obviously checked all the points where there's electrical connections or boards. Entry from the crypt, we investigated that at the time, early hours of Sunday morning. There was no electrical fault, so it couldn't have been settled by that. The first images that I saw was that of, you know, the inner insulating material of a duvet-like thing, quite a lot of that, at the ventilation hole where this fire was started. So, look, we don't want to speculate, but initial indications are definitely that it was a willful act of arson.
Mr. James, I mean, we love to point fingers at the homeless because there are so many in that particular precinct. They're sleeping outside in that area and outside Parliament. Do you think perhaps somebody could have made a fire to keep warm, their duvet caught alight, and that went through the vents?
Well, if you look at the photographs, which will probably also emerge later on, this material was literally shoved inside that ventilation hole. So I doubt it very much if it was just a fire to keep warm.
All right. And I believe that there was help from the Taj Hotel across the road, the City Improvement District teams, they moved in to help. And I'm just wondering, if there hadn't been such quick action, how extensive the damage could have been.
Look, we are very grateful for the CCID officials, the security and the staffers of the Taj, who responded very quickly by dousing this fire with some fire equipment. Also to the South African Police Services, we had quite a large senior contingent of police officials on site when I arrived just over 2. So both the CCID, the police, and the way everybody there responded probably, you know, prevented a fire and the consequences which both you and I would all to contemplate.
Absolutely. Mr. James, all I can say is, you know, the cathedral is the heart and the soul of our city. It's an interfaith venue. Although it's an Anglican church, it has homed and housed so many people in desperate need of refuge from all sorts of aggressors out there. And if anything were to happen, it would be devastating for Cape Town. So I say, praise whatever God you believe in, that it is safe. Thank you for joining us.